So thank you so much, Matodzi Amisi and Ian Goldman, for this opportunity to have a quick interview, but let's say it's more of a formal talk with you. And we would like to know which workshop have you been delivering for this year and your general impressions about this?
So we have been delivering the National Evaluation Systems workshop, which is pretty much built on our experience of supporting governments to build evaluation systems across Africa. And and then I don't know if Ian, you want to add something?
I think just, people often focus on evaluation, but actually if evaluation's to make a difference, it needs to be part of the management process, and hence having a system is very important. And I think there's quite a gap in the evaluation discourse around systems.
So you have a lot of experience in this area, but in particular, I know that you have also conducted this workshop sometimes for IPDET. How many times has it been?
So this is, I think, the 4th time. Yeah, we did in person in 2019. And then we have had 2 virtual ones. Okay, 3rd, including this one this year. So we had to do the adaptation, I think, in 2020 when COVID hit. That was our first kind of moving it off online. And then now we have done that 3 times.
Okay, well, yeah. These modalities sometimes change. And can you tell me why giving a workshop on developing national evaluation systems in the public service?
Yeah, so as I said earlier, I mean, if government is to, particularly government, and we're focusing on government here, is to improve, it needs to learn. And one of the key mechanisms for learning is through evaluation, for understanding what works, what doesn't work, and why, and how things can be improved. Some governments don't want to learn, which is why evaluation systems are not found everywhere. But this is for those who are looking at that possibility, either because they're in government or because they work with government and would like to support them to do that. And
also what we see is that a lot of people who are working in evaluation are seeing that gap that Ian talked about. They're seeing the gap between sort of doing the individual evaluations and trying to influence, and they're trying to figure out how best to make sure that evaluation is useful for organizations that they're doing evaluations for. And I think that's the appeal with this workshop, and sort of what we also tend to focus on, really like going beyond evaluation by showing how you actually get evaluation to be used as a tool within public service management.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you tell us about your overall impression of this year's participants? What have you seen?
I mean, this group, we have 17 participants, well, 16 now. I think one didn't come. We have 16 participants coming from different countries and different organizations, 2 from government, and they're really strong participants. I think they're inquisitive. They're participants who are coming to the workshop. And I think that's been probably our experience. Most people are coming to the workshop really with questions already. They're interested in the topic. And either they're interested because they are supporting government to build a system, or they're being pushed towards that direction, or they're seeing a gap, like I mentioned earlier, and they're trying to figure out how best to kind of close that gap. So I'm seeing the same thing with these participants this year. Quite a strong group of people who are taking a keen interest on the topic. They're reading the stuff that we are putting up. In fact, they're asking for more. Our workshop people usually say there's a lot of reading, but this is the first time where people are wanting to read more, and they're really reading, and they're asking questions. Both questions about the content we have provided, but questions in relation to where they're trying to apply it, which is what we always want to see, that people are not just kind of thinking about it theoretically or just sort of like talking about it as something that happened in other countries, but we want to see people kind of trying to internalize it and apply it. And you've seen that with this group of participants. So I would say it's a strong group of participants. And because there's 16 of them, I think there's pressure probably on everybody to do their part and make sure that they've done the reading and they come ready for sessions. So that's what I've observed. Ian?
Nothing to add, yeah.
Okay, thank you. What have been maybe the activities, because as you said, the group is diverse, but they are very engaged. So can you tell us an activity that you have enjoyed the most during the delivery of this workshop?
Well, I mean, I think people get so much out of the case studies. And so I think, for us, that's very rewarding. They really enjoy Matodzi and I talking about our hands-on experience. They really enjoy the other people we bring in to speak, and it's great for them to see them respond in that way. And early on they're asking for cases, and then we give them the whole session is around cases, and they love it. So that's been I think that's been the highlight for me.
It's really amazing when you see them, as if like the penny drops. And everything seems to kind of like, okay, now I can see it. It's such a fantastic moment, and mostly like on our fourth day, you sort of see that kind of like, okay, I see it. And it's just wonderful to see.
And I think the added value in your workshop is also that you invite some speakers to talk about what have they been doing in their respective country. And I think the participants have also appreciated that a lot. So that's very good. Can you tell us about maybe any challenges that you see when delivering a workshop?
So, I mean, the one challenge I think is that people have got used to this black box of virtual, you sit in a black box, you don't say anything, you'll probably be multitasking, etc. So at the beginning, people were quite, there's a few very vociferous people who always speak, and then quite a lot of people were hiding behind the black boxes. And I think we've managed to transform that. And now everybody's contributing and involved. And I think that's a challenge from the medium, and it's something that we have to learn to overcome, because this is going to become a more important part of our toolbox. We're going to have to fly less. We're going to have to be using virtual more. So we have to find ways to make these methods as stimulating and engaging as possible. I think also because Matodzi and I have done this 4 years, it comes very naturally and it flows for us. And we can be quite responsive and flexible about it because we know what's coming and etc., which helps.
So you during these years, you also have adapted your content to the participants' needs, and that's also a very useful activity to do, because you are oriented to the participants' needs.
So I mean, every day we are doing some assessment, a gauge of where the participants are, what they're wanting to see more, what didn't work for them. And we really take that seriously and then use that to adapt our content. We might not change completely the session, but we might bring in new things maybe that we didn't have, so that it responds to what the participants are saying. Because I mean, these are people these are professionals. They're coming in with certain needs, and we want to see that we meet them as much as possible, except where people are like asking something that's completely out of what our workshop is about. And in that case, obviously, we will tell them and be transparent about it, that that's not something that this workshop is going to cover. And I think that's also something that I've seen people respond to it. I think people like to be treated with respect, that if they've asked something, if you can't do it, you tell them, and if you can, you try and do something. And people respond positively to it, because they feel like it's something that they're part of, not something that we're just giving to them. We're not teachers, we're facilitators of the workshop and facilitators of their learning. So that's how we have approached the workshop, and really also invite them to share their own experiences, to challenge us if there's something that they don't agree with. And, and I think that's what makes the workshop such a rich experience for everybody who participates in it. So, yeah.
I think also the fact that we have this open session today, where because everybody comes with particular questions that they've got, and giving them an opportunity to raise the issues that they have and find ways to discuss that and share their own experience. Again, as Matodzi is saying, we're not giving them all the answers. We're giving them a space where they can discuss that issue, and we'll give them some feedback, but so will all the other participants give them feedback on those issues.
How has been your experience as an instructor at IPDET so far?
I mean, I think it's been a good experience. I mean, obviously, like the first year, it was like getting to understand how IPDET works, the back end of it, obviously, and then the last 2 years, we sort of kind of know what to expect, right? So it's become also easier. The one thing that I think has always been a challenge is sort of managing, because I mean, IPDET attracts people from different ends of the earth, and making sure that we can find a way to make sure that they all participate at a time that is good for everyone has always been a challenge. This year was okay. I mean, the other times we just have like such extremes that, I mean, you feel for a participant who's having to join a session at like 5 o'clock in the morning, but other than that, I can't think of anything that has made it a negative experience. I think it has been a good experience, and the support that we get from the facilitators, from like people like yourself, Zora, really makes the work much easier. I think the first year we transitioned online, it was just too much work. Like, it was a lot of things to get prepared. But now I think it's sort of smooth, it's smooth, and and the support really helps a lot. So yeah, I think that's what I would say. Ian? And
I think that, I mean, IPDET invested a lot in 2020 in helping to train us in doing online training, and that was a phenomenal investment. That really was so helpful, not just for IPDET, but I mean, we've been using what we learned from that in many other platforms, and I think that was really forward thinking by IPDET to do that, and it's really repaid.
Absolutely.
That's good to hear. So thank you so much, Matodzi, Ian. It was a pleasure, and we are looking forward to IPDET 2023.
Awesome.
You so much.
Thanks, Zora.
Thanks, Zora.